Steel recycling and reuse. Scrap steel is fed into large furnace or converters. For example, yung basic oxygen furnace, ito yung process niya, no? In case of the basic oxygen furnace, virgin molten iron is added to scrap steel. Water cools the steel, and cooled lands blows high purity oxygen to the metals to remove impurities. At a certain temperature of 20,000 degrees, or 2,000 degrees Celsius, the converter is heated. In 30 minutes, iron and used steel are refined to make new high-quality steel. So hot steel is poured out of the converter, and molten steel is cast into solid slabs, then rolled into coils again, and then so steel for me is completely recyclable. Hindi ako mag-hesitate gumamit ng steel sa construction. Kasi naiintindihan ko, any bit of steel that is used in construction can be recycled so many times. Huwag lang mo natin pabayaan ang kalawakin. Because it is also relatable. Now, virtually, ito yung una kong kotse na nabili. Toyota Corolla. Magandang pangarap ko dito sa kotse. Wala na ako sa akin ngayon yung binenta ko. 50,000 pesos. Hindi na siyang makita. Virtually, 100% of cars on the road today will be recycled. This is my future car. Lamborghini. Siyempre, napakamahal. Handmade. Plano na ko completely recycle. But I dread the day because I don't think by the time na makabili ako ng completely recycled car, kalbo na ako, lahat ng katawan ko, yung alam-alam, naglaglagan na. Kaya kailangan nung ma-recycle yung itsura, kaya yun ang pag-iri na ng pag-asa sa Pogi Points, ano? So, yeah, steel, cars, refrigerators, kitchen equipment. You know, I've done some designs for some restaurants before, and I was so depressed. Kasi pag ang restaurants pala, pag nag-renovate, they renovate every 2 to 3 years. Yun ang cycle. Kasi they have to compete. A lot of the materials in renovation is thrown. Tapon lang lahat. And nung in-observe ko to, ay paano ko ngayon ayusin ito. Kaya po, I try to be an environmentalist. So this is one of the biggest challenges I had when I had the trials for restaurants. So aluminum, it is a third most abundant element in the Earth's crust after oxygen and silicon. And it is extracted from an ore called bauxite. Ito naman yung kanyang recycling process. Aluminum cans are shredded again into pieces, passed through magnetic drum to remove steel content, decoated, it is fed into massive furnace, molten metal transferred to holding furnace for contaminant removal, and ingots are cast by pouring molten metal into vertical casting units and checked for purity. And then, ingots are solidified and rolled into sheets to produce new cans. Cycle again. In Brazil, I was so happy when I was watching one of the programs of the National Geographic. Yung zinc sheets nila or yung GI sheets nila are completely made of recycled aluminum. From all these cans, they used it for roofing. And it has made such a big impact on Brazil at karamihan ng mga gumagamit nito tuwang-tuwa kasi it also helped locals, mga tao, kasi sila yung source. So, sinusundo yung mga gamit na bigyan pa ng hanap-buhay yung mga mahihirap. So, it's a sustainable cycle. Sustainability meaning everything that you take also benefits the people, not only in terms of side effects, but in terms of livelihood. So, recycling one aluminum can saves enough energy to run a television for 3 hours or 100 watt bulb for 20 hours. Recycling it saves 95% of energy and 95% of carbon dioxide emission. So, wag mo natin itatapon. Plastic. Well, Kenneth mentioned a lot of information about plastics. What is it? It is a material of organic origin, typically polymers of high molecular mass that can be shaped by application of heat and pressure and will set solid after forming process. It is derived from a Greek word, plastein, which means to mold. Now, plastic recycling and reuse. Ano po, bago ko naintindihan itong green architecture, I said to myself, lahat ng plastic ayaw kong gamitin. And then, nagkaroon ako ng kliyente na kailangan ng plastic sa kanyang project. So, aral na naman. What are these plastics? Then I discovered there's biodegradable plastic and non-biodegradable plastic. Under non-biodegradable plastic, mayroong recyclable plastic. So, we have three options. Biodegradable, recyclable, and yung talagang pabigat sa mundo. Now, plastics, ito yung recycling process. Energy is also being used. There's also a cycle. But as consumers, we have to differentiate between the different kinds of plastics. That's why me, as a consumer or a person who would like to do something about recovery, hindi mo talaga yung mga details na ito sa suppliers. No? Ano ba yung plastic nyo? Ito ba yung PET? Used for bottled soft drinks, blah blah blah. HDPE, high density polyethylene, PVC, which is what Kenneth is using, low density polyethylene, all of these are recyclable. Polypropylene, polystyrene, and others. Kung hindi mo tayo makakuha ng biodegradable, pwede naman mo tayo mag-shift sa recyclable plastics. So don't automatically condemn a particular material because you don't know anything about it. Then that is, I think, ignorance. What we are trying to drive at is really responsible consumerism. Wood. Everybody wants wood. It is a valuable resource. The harvesting and processing of virgin timber uses significant quantities of energy and water. If wood is in good condition, a material reuse project may be able to collect it and pass it on to low-income families. Right? Nung nangyari yung Ondoy, I was just watching because I went to Pasig because I had an employee whose house literally became Atlantis. But while I was there, I was watching the dynamics of people. Yung mga taong nasiraan ng gamit, nilalabas nila sa bahay nito, puro puti. Pasok naman ito mga mahihirap. Every single piece of item that they can salvage, kinuha. Ito pala yung natin, yung processes, yung ecology, natural ecology ng mga tao sa Pilipinas. Kung nasira mo isang bagay, meron pa rin makikinabang dito. Third generation, fourth generation people. So never throw away something because they say that there's always money in trash. And it is being recycled in so many ways. So architectural salvage groups will take items of floorboards, door frames, doors, and staircases. No? If reuse is not an option, there are occasional facilities set up for shredding and recycling. Now, I was asked a question before. Are you an advocate of heritage architecture? Right. Siyempre, I am because mahal ko yung Philippine architecture. I see the beauty in heritage architecture for our family. What about those people who yung nakakannibalize ng heritage architecture? So, very difficult question to ask. Sabi ko na lang sa sarili ko, rather than seeing the house collapse and go to waste and crumble, mas gugustuhin ko pa yung tao na nagsasalvage ng material. So, I have to distinguish between a structure that can stay and cared for and a structure that has no body behaving as a steward for the structure. Diba? Ang hirap ng debate. Personally, struggle because I want to protect heritage. This is where our recycled wood is coming from. So, again, distinguish between responsible suppliers. Itong mga suppliers ba nito sinisira ang kultura natin? By cannibalizing our heritage, indiscriminately, bibili ng lumang bahay 200,000 pesos, 150,000. Or is it really a situation wherein the house has collapsed